Hello and welcome to today's first two pages. Got a completely different background today. Thought I'd do something different. Today's book is Skullduggery Pleasant by Derek Landy. This is a phenomenal series of books. My son first got them and he's read all of them. There's the first kind of series, and I've read all of those, like 7-8 books in that series, and then there's a carry on. And Skulduggery Pleasant is a mystical skeletal detective in this world of magic and mystery set in Ireland. And it's hilariously funny. It's a very, very clever series of books that I just love them. I just love them. So I thought I'd share this one with you. So check them out because they are great. They're kind of good, anyone kind of mid-teens up. My mother-in-law is actually, my son forced my mother-in-law to read all of these books and she loved them as well. So without further ado, first two pages of Skullduggery Pleasant by Derek Landy. Without further ado, the first two pages of Skullduggery Pleasant by Derek Landy. Sorry for the cut, phone went off. Gordon Edgley's sudden death came as a shock to everyone, not least himself. One moment he was in his study, 7 words into the 25th sentence of the final chapter of his new book, and the darkness reigned upon them. Then the next, he was dead. A tragic loss, his mind echoed numbly as he slipped away. The funeral was attended by family and acquaintances, but not many friends. Gordon hadn't been a well-liked figure in the publishing world, for although the books he wrote, tales of horror and magic and wonder, regularly reared their heads in the bestsellers list, he had the disquieting habit of insulting people without realizing it, then laughing at their shock. It was at Gordon's funeral, however, that Stephanie Edgley first caught sight of the gentleman in the tan overcoat. He was standing under the shade of a large tree away from a crowd, coat buttoned up all the way despite the warmth of the afternoon. A scarf was wrapped around the lower half of his face, and even from her position on the far side of the grave, Stephanie could make out the wild and frizzy hair that escaped from the wide-brimmed hat that he wore low down over his gigantic sunglasses. She watched him, intrigued by his appearance, and then, like he knew he was being observed, he turned and walked back through the rows of headstones and disappeared from sight. After the service, Stephanie and her parents travelled back to their dead uncle's house, over a humpback bridge and along a narrow road that carved its way through the thick woodland. The gates were heavy and grand and stood open, welcoming them into the estate. The grounds were vast and the old house itself was ridiculously big. There was an extra door in the living room, a door disguised as a bookcase, and when she was younger, Stephanie liked to think that no one else knew about this door, not even Gordon himself. It was a secret passageway, like in the stories she'd read, and then she'd made up adventures about haunted houses and smuggled treasure. This secret passageway would always be her escape route, and the imaginary villains in these adventures would be dumbfounded by her sudden and mysterious disappearance. But now this door, this secret passageway, stood open. And there was a steady stream of people through it, and she was saddened that this little piece of magic had been taken from her. Tea was served and drinks were poured and little sandwiches were passed around on silver trays, and Stephanie watched the mourners casually appraise their surroundings. The major topic of hushed conversation was the will. Gordon wasn't a man who inspired or even demonstrated any great affection, so no one could predict who would inherit his substantial fortune. Stephanie could see the greed seep into the watery eyes of her father's older brother, a horrible little man called Fergus, as he nodded sadly and spoke somberly at the pocket silverware when he thought that no one was looking. There we go. The first 2 pages of Derek Landy's Skullduggery Pleasant. It is brilliant. It's quite dark in places and it escalates as you go through the books, but has a very, very satisfying conclusion to the original 7-book series. I say I haven't read the new ones, but an hilarious author. Very worth a read. Really, really worth a read if you're stuck for something to do. So Skullduggery Pleasant by Derek Landy. Absolutely brilliant. Love it. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up, give it a share. Stay well, stay safe, and I'll speak to you next time with the next first 2 pages. Bye-bye for now.